Okay, 3, 2, 1. We're live, people. Welcome back to the Rem and Sam podcast. Another Friday. A little bit of a different Friday. Well, I guess not too different from what we've been doing as of late. It's another watch party. It's the picks. It's all in one. We've got an elimination game of the WNBA Finals. Is this season point for the WNBA? The Liberty are up 2-1 on the Lynx, and Game 4 is happening right now. I think we're about 5 minutes away from kickoff, opening tip as of right now. And the Liberty have a chance to clinch their first title in franchise history. The first title for New York in a while. I guess, is there some baseball titles that we're not thinking about? Some soccer titles? Do they have an MLS team that just won a title? But football, basketball has not been a successful sport for the city of New York lately until the Liberty, until Breonna Stewart, and until Sabrina Ionescu. And wow, Minneapolis lit up, looking fantastic. The Target Center is packed out, and these fans are ready to go. They don't want to see their team go. Nafisha Collier, I'm sure she doesn't want to stop playing basketball. Courtney Williams. And we don't want the season to end either. I don't know when Game 5 would take place. Probably Sunday, in the middle of all the games. They probably match it up. Would they play it in London, just right across the street from the London game? They just feel like they need to go toe-to-toe with the NFL for some reason. But what a big moment for the Liberty and for the New York fans. And we're going to try to stay live, stay active, and stay, IT is going to try to have its stuff together. And one of these days, we're going to pull all the pieces together for an actual cohesive stream, because I think we had some troubles with the mic cable last time, some technical difficulties, and I think for most of the second half we were we silent for most of the second half of Game 3, but it is what it is. If you want to see our facial expressions reacting to Breonna Stewart in the second half, just being unstoppable, finishing with 30 and 11, a 30-point double-double, and then Sabrina Ionescu with the step back 30-footer to win the game. And again, put the Liberty up 2-1. An emotional Sabrina, showing the replays, showing the facial expressions after the shot. Almost to tears. There's still one game left. I mean, come on, mama mentality, Sabrina. Nothing to be happy about. Season's not over. But we do try to, watch and learn. We try to incorporate some important things from sports into the pod. And obviously, one of the important things is, and something that has benefited both of these teams is depth and having good rotational pieces and good backup. Next man up when you need it. And make no mistake, on the last stream, there was no backup mic cables, no next man up. We were shorthanded when we needed it most. And that is not the case anymore. We're strapped, locked, and loaded. And hopefully, are we going? Chat, are we going tonight? I think we're back, but we've got some breaking news to start this off with. Not from the football world, not from the sports world, movies at all, but we were listening to the 1999 mixtape earlier. And I swear, I was listening to this. I was listening to the mixtape before work, and then I even had it pulled up at work for one point for some reason. There's a couple of songs that are in the rotation for the radio at the restaurant that have not any of Joey's songs, but songs that he's sampled. I think the Show Me song will play every now and then. There's another one as well too. I'm not remembering it, but when it pops on, I remember it. And it's work, you're trying not to think about it. So I was just looking at the 1999 album again. And then when I got off and went to my car and went to play it, I don't want to start being dramatic because they took the song down, but potentially the best song on the album is no longer available on Spotify. They took Don't Front off of Joey's 1999 mixtape. Chat, is it on Apple? What's going on? On Spotify, it's not there. So I scoured the internet trying to find an answer. There's nothing, there's no articles, nothing on Joey's Twitter or Instagram. No story. Joey, post a story. Tell us what's going on. I even went to see if the audio was still on YouTube, Because, you know, there's been some Cole stuff recently that videos have been taken down. So we were like, did they take the audio down as well too? But no, the audio is still on YouTube for Don't Front. At least at the time of this stream. At least, you know, an hour ago when we were bumping it on YouTube again. But as of right now, no longer on Spotify. And again, you know, I don't want to be prisoner of the moment. Oh, they took the song away. Is it our favorite song? But I bet when the Spotify Wrapped is, and it's approaching as well too. I think they usually do that sometime in November. I feel like they did it early as well last year too. Was it right around Thanksgiving? I don't remember, but I feel like when we get that Spotify Wrapped, Don't Front is going to be our most played Joey song of the year. Let me see if that's the case. I feel like it. And of course, I mean, it's going to be our most played on YouTube as of right now anyways, because we were playing it a bunch this afternoon to reminisce. And there is a song by Amine and Catronata as well too, called Rebuke, that has the same beat, and that song is still on Spotify. So again, I don't know. And you know, the sample stuff can get weird with what you sample versus, you know, and we're not the the knows the contract for the music industry pods, but from some of the clips that I've seen, there's a difference between like sampling the master track and then, you know, sampling songs that you've already sampled as well too, because Kanye did that with this past album. Was it on Carnival? The guitar riff on Carnival, he took that out of one of the songs out of Dark Twisted Fantasy because he couldn't get the sample clearance for it. So, you know, there's weird rules and stuff. I guess I'm assuming that Catronata didn't sample the track that Joey sampled. He must have sampled Joey's track. We can double check here. But hopefully it gets fixed soon. There was another song recently. There was the Cole songs that got taken off of YouTube, and I don't remember if those got taken off of Spotify or not, because that also happened while we were at work. And by the time we got off, everything was fine. We went back to Spotify, and it was still loaded up on the Born Center album. But I don't know how long this is going to take, because if it wasn't like a get it fixed right away type thing, obviously it's more complicated than, you know, whatever was going on with Cole or whatever. But maybe Joey just doesn't know. Because again, like, nobody really on Twitter was even like asking what happened for Don't Front. On the the video for on the audio on YouTube, there's like one comment that somebody asked, like, where is this at? So me and one other person are looking for Joey to drop Don't Front again. Oh, here, we're looking for Rebuke. Tip-off is underway. Game 4 of the WNBA Finals. The Liberty! Can they end their championship drought? And I also was thinking earlier, too, if that's the most championship appearances without winning a title, just in, like, sports in general, because the Vikings would be up there. Have the Vikings been to 5 Super Bowls? I think they have. Could be wrong. We'll double check that in a second. And obviously, again, for baseball, no. So according to the website we're looking at, the Catronata song Rebuke samples the original track from Don't Front from Joey. So I don't know why Joey's having problems and Catronata's not. And I'm not saying, you know, if we had to make a choice, we'd make a trade. But if we had to make a trade, and I mean, you know, shout out to Joey was the first one, at least to us, that used that sample. Was that used before? How many times has this track been sampled? Probably a lot. They can be sampled quite a bit. 2001 and 2006 in a song called Atlas by an artist. The artist's name, and this is the name, of Mexican descent. So I don't know if this is popular and we should know about him, but other than that, Smoky Hill Street by DJ Sneak, 2001. And then Joey again in 2012. So shout out to our guy Joey. Shout out to the 1999 mixtapes. One of the albums that constantly is going to be a mainstay in our rotation. It'll never go away. And we were obviously bumping, Don't Front again on YouTube like we were saying, but we were just playing the whole album again. And when it went from, I forget what the track was right before Righteous Minds, but when it skipped over, it just didn't quite feel right. Snakes to Righteous Minds. That run from Daily Routine, Snakes, Don't Front to Righteous Minds. And I mean, this whole thing is obviously, there's no skips on here. But that's a crazy run. I would honestly, is it a hot take to say I would take that over the first half? Summer Nights, Waves, From the Tombs, Survival Tactics, Illuminati. It's pretty strong too. There's no wrong choice. But Don't Front and Righteous Minds would probably, that might be the 1 and 2 off the album. And then Snakes and Daily Routines are such solid songs as well too. But early, halfway into the first quarter, Minnesota with the lead. Approaching halfway in the first quarter. 6.5 minutes left. 6-5. The falling away shot by McBride from the mid-range doesn't go. And Sabrina gets the turnover. The Liberty probably going to be, a little jittery. It's not just them, but it's the franchise like we were saying, and they're on the Minnesota home court, and the crowd just goes crazy because we get another 3 from the Lynx. 9-5. Caleb McBride, 19 straight playoff games with a made 3. John Cole Jones answers right back. So let's check championship droughts here and see which sports franchises have the most championship appearances without winning a title. And where do the Liberty rank in this group? And again, it's best 2 out of 3. They win now. They go back home to the New York. So, I mean, the silver lining of tonight if they lose is they get to potentially win the championship on their home court. But you'd still never want to leave it up to chance. You want to go ahead and, as anybody knows, you want to go ahead and seal the deal when you can. John Cole Jones, back-to-back free throws, gives the Liberty, is this their first lead of the game? The first lead since we've looked over. So that probably settles them down a little bit. Buffalo, if we're looking for the NFL teams, Buffalo is obviously at 4. So the NBA doesn't really have a team. The NBA, I guess, is a little more boom or bust. You make pause. You either make it or you don't. You've got the Utah Jazz as the NBA leader with 3 finals appearances and no wins. The Magic and the Nets both have 2. Shout out to Jason Kidd. Somehow taking a desperate Nets franchise to the playoffs, to the finals back-to-back years. Okay, we might have to do a little live research to get like a completely accurate answer. Because we can find playoff droughts, which teams have never won. A lot of baseball teams have never won the title. The Padres, the Brewers, the Rockies. I feel like most baseball teams probably haven't won the title. Has it just been, Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers? Do they just rotate? The Phillies get one every now and then. Washington, another major market. They make sure to get love. Did Kansas City win one a couple years ago? The Royals. Shout out Johnny Cueto. San Francisco. They've won a couple. The Rays have never won a title. So there's 36 teams, 36 franchises that have never won. The Hornets, the Pacers. The Pacers have only been to what? 1 or 2 finals? The Clippers never made the finals. Grizzlies, Timberwolves, Pelicans, Magic. So, yeah, with the Magic, we're on that list with the 2 teams. The Jazz as well, too. 2 finals appearances. The Cardinals with 2 Super Bowls. The Falcons with 2 Super Bowls. Then the Bills with 4 would be amongst the most extreme. The Browns never won, never played in a Super Bowl. Same with Detroit. So I think it might be Minnesota. Is it Minnesota and the Liberty? There's some hockey teams here as well, too, but it seems like hockey's kind of the same thing. It doesn't really have a ton of teams that consistently make the finals and don't win. So if there's a hockey one out there that I'm not not seeing here on the list, chat, you can let us know. But it seems like the Liberty and the Vikings right now are tied for the most championship appearances by a major sports team without winning. Man, a lot of pressure here on Breanna Stewart to break the curse. Do they need Peyton Manning to bring the bathtub back out? Bring the spell book back out. Because people forget he's the one that broke the curse for the Detroit Lions. This is all because him and... Who was the guy that he broke that with? Jeff Daniels? I forget who was on that episode. Peyton Manning's forehead, taking up the whole screen. You can't even see the guest. Sabrina, 36% from 3 for the series. Where's Sudeikis? Sudeikis is not traveling with the team? I mean, he really had a chance to be like the forefront celebrity WNBA guy, which in a way he kind of already is. I mean, the real ones know that. The people that have been watching have seen him around for a while now. And, he's probably been going longer than people have been tuning in for. And he does the media, the interviews, like, he makes sure, and he wears the shirts. he makes sure to support. And I guess Spike Lee doesn't really how often does Spike Lee travel? I feel like for a playoff game, a finals game in Minnesota, Spike Lee's there. For the Knicks, there's no way. There's no way he's missing that. An elimination game? Is Sudeikis filming a Ted Lasso? Cancel Ted Lasso so we can get Sudeikis on the front row. Maybe if they cancel Ted Lasso, he won't be able to be on the front row. Is Ted Lasso carrying Sudeikis? Chat, what do we think? Nah, SNL. $15-12. 3 minutes left in the first. as we get the link, kind of slowly working the ball around the perimeter. And I feel like from our glances in between ranting about Sudeikis, I feel like Collier hasn't really gotten into the interior as much, but Caleb McBride 2 for 3 in the first quarter. A couple other people have hit some threes as well too. 15 to 15. It's a multiple of threes, so you know they're raining a lot. Is that Lainey Hamilton? She's been big. She's been the underrated star for this team in both the games. And I guess, not really underrated. I feel like people do a good job of bringing her up in conversation, but as a bench role guy, she's been the standout performer for this team. Is McBride still on the court? McBride is still on the court. Going to be heavy starter minutes. And Smith, a couple of days rest. Again, she was struggling with, they were saying like hip and lower back. So Alana Smith, it's the finals. Focus when you're not playing. But something happened and Alana Smith was limping around. And it seems like she's running around a little bit better tonight. But obviously that starting five for the link is, we were going to say the strength of the team, but of course. But I feel like with Lainey Hamilton, she can, I guess she's like a Final Five type guy. I feel like the link kind of have their Final Five. The Liberty have a couple of options that they can go to. And so do the link as well. They have depth, obviously, but you're going to run the two bigs, McBride, Courtney Williams. Carlton, is that the consensus fifth? We're still learning, people. The season is over, but we've learned a lot this year. It's been a productive season. We've logged more WNBA hours this year than any year before. I know they'll take it. And we have picks as well, people, too. I forget. We're locked in on this game. Riveting action. Caleb McBride is taking over. Like we said, the link don't want to go home, people. This is it for the link. And like we were saying, with these teams, I mean, you kind of get your shot at it with the way these contracts are all shorter deals. And, you get re-signed, extensions, whatever, but big free throws. Nobody's pulling away, but earlier in the games for the last couple games, it's mostly the Liberty, but still a team has been able to jump out a little bit, gain some momentum. Breanna Stewart as well too. We know she's been a bit of a Derrick Henry these playoff games. It takes her a second to get going. She's got to warm up. But, she was incredible in the second half of last game. She'll be locked in for the second half of this game. Collier buries a three right in the face of Stewart. I don't know if we can say bury in the face around Stewart, but regardless, it's a three. Probably not what she wants to see. Oh, big response, though, from the Liberty. We'll get into the first quarter break, and then we'll do some picks. Week 7 of the NFL season. We're almost halfway through, people. It's chugging along. Oh, McBride goes down on the foul call. Slow to get up. Was somebody in the shooting space? Oh, I think maybe landed hard. Oh yeah, her feet kind of got taken out from under her off the shot. It was by the person in the landing space. Again, typically that's the shooter will land, maybe roll an ankle. The danger is in more of that type of injury, but this time Lainey Hamilton almost And we're not saying it on purpose, of course, but when she was running to close out, almost sweep the legs out from McBride. McBride goes down. Are they reviewing for a flagrant? Toe on the line, maybe? I guess the shooting fouls in the WNBA is where you get into flagrants as well, too. Not necessarily just the, hostile acts. Lainey Hamilton doesn't just have to get a flagrant for throwing hands. I forget what the criteria is for the NBA flagrant on the shot. We're not fully in NBA brain yet, people, though. The Lakers preseason game the other night. Stay tuned. We may mention that as well. But that got us hyped up. Oh, you got to be careful how you spell flagrant. You don't want to misspell that. Unnecessary contact. Excessive or severe. So maybe we're wrong about that, chat. Are we wrong? Can you get the flagrant from getting into the shooter's landing zone? And McBride misses the free throw. So yeah, game 5 would be Sunday night. I guess Monday night would be a tough night to do it too. We got 2 Monday night games that night as well too, which we will be picking coming up next. And the Link can go 2 for 1 here off the free throw with 35 seconds. I guess so can the Liberty, but yeah, they're not going to do that. Better to take the good shot. Sabrina with the floater and get it to go. Almost a 2 for 1. They're going to get it with 0.1 second left. Are the Link going to take a timeout and drop a play? What just happened? Clock malfunction? A clock malfunction with 17 seconds? Whoa, a free timeout for the Link. The side inbounds. This is great. Now we get a free possession here almost. 17 seconds. If it's not McBride or Collier, what are we doing? Uh-oh, I don't know if it's going to be. Oh, offensive foul on McBride. So McBride a little shaken from the injury. We thought she hit her back, but maybe her head too. Missing a free throw, committing a foul. And now the Liberty with the chance to take the lead after a pretty impressive first quarter by the Lynx. I mean, obviously the Liberty are the better team here. I don't think there's any stretching that. But obviously, the Lynx are close enough as well, too. They play hard. They're well coached. They've got the pieces to get the win here. And it's going to be tied going into the first quarter. Okay, let's get our setup changed. And then week 7 NFL picks. Let's see. Oh boy, people, we should have been ready. We should have got this set up beforehand. The game is too riveting. Constantly capturing our attention. Okay, switching in 3, 2. Are we back? 3, 2, 1. More IT mistakes issue this week, people, but we're locked back in. Our apologies. Sorry to the audio people. We'll go in and edit the feed so that way you guys don't have to deal with the silence from the IT mistakes. We're still figuring it out, but I think when NBA season approaches, in only a couple of days, we'll be locked in. So we've got to clean it up fast, but I think we'll do it. We've seen teams make quicker turnarounds from the preseason. The Bengals have, you know, what if they've been like 0-4 and proceeded to almost win the Super Bowl? So I think we can go from accidental, you know, disconnections to getting locked in for a full stream for the NBA. But here we are, 3, 2, 1. We are back. The game is cooking. The second quarter has arrived, and we'll restart talking about Chiefs versus the Niners. And I think we said earlier too, but this is a very just exciting slate in general. I think maybe just looking at it on paper, probably the best slate of games. Again, just the matchups. But, you know, later in the season as well, too, the teams are more fully formed. So there's just a little bit more uncertainty later in the season. And maybe a couple of these matchups are boosted by the fact that I'm just kind of interested in watching these teams, and I'm, you know, fascinated by the fact that there's just some cool matchups here in like the B tier, C tier games. But for the A tier games, for the top games, you know, speaking of finals, speaking of championship games, Courtney Williams with the big mid-range jumper to tie it up with 8 minutes left. A Super Bowl rematch in Week 7. Chiefs in the Bay to play the Niners. I don't know. You know, they're in the Bay with Sam, so I don't know if he'll be there. Maybe they should just put him in at receiver. I don't know how we'll go. Hopefully we were actually on mute earlier and we're not just retelling jokes. But the Chiefs have a chance to continue their undefeated streak at 5-0. And looking at their next couple of games here, they've got at Vegas, staying out west, making their way back to Kansas City, playing in the Vegas. So the whole, you know, the whole Rem and Sam West Coast circle out there with being by Sam in the Bay. And then Papa Price, shout out, the Vegas Raiders. But then Tampa in Week 9, feisty game. Denver in Week 10, Buffalo in Week 11, Carolina, Vegas, Chargers, Browns, Texans, Steelers, Broncos. So a mix of good games here, but with the 3-game stretch they have coming up next with the Raiders, Bucks, and the Broncos in Kansas City as well too. I mean, if they win this Niners game, there's a real chance they're in this Bills game at 10-0. And then at Buffalo, you know, we haven't seen Josh Allen beat Mahomes in a while. And I guess, did he beat him in the regular season the last couple of years? It's the playoff games that stick in our mind, obviously. But we don't fully trust this Bills team versus Mahomes at this point. So they could be, you know, 11-0. And then Panthers, Raiders, are they going to be 13-0 going into a Chargers rematch? You know, they're not going to be 16-0 facing the Texans in week or 15-0, you know, going into that week 16 matchup versus Houston. And they're banked up and they're playing sloppy as well too. I mean, you know, the Liberty locked in, cohesive, fully healthy, but you know, the gears are sharpened. I don't think you sharpen gears. What do you, oil gears, sharpen iron? But they're running smooth on all knives right now. And the Chiefs, if you go through their wins so far, they've got the opening win against Baltimore, which, again, is, you know, a big point of emphasis for, for Sam for the season in terms of how we view these teams that, you know, even with what the Ravens might do and how they might perform in the regular season and, how, you know, how much they might improve. It's like, hey, we beat them in week 1, and that still means something, and we still have to actually see Lamar be victorious in a game versus Mahomes. And again, you know, he beat him in the regular season a couple of years ago. Was that like a Monday night game? That was a really good game in the 30s, high-scoring game. And I think Lamar ended up pulling it out. Was there a Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumble at the end of the game? The recall, I don't know why this game sticks in our brain, but, a classic showdown between Lamar and Mahomes is probably why. McBride with the big turnover. Sabrina coast to coast. New York is now up by 3, and it feels like they, in this game, with as close as it's been, it feels like they've blown it wide open. Yeah, the Link are going to have to take a timeout. It's getting out of hand. Liberty up 3. And I think the line for this Chiefs-Niners game, are the Chiefs, low-key favored? And I get it for the Niners as well, too. I mean, we'll get to that in a second. But plus 1.5 in San Francisco for the Kansas City Chiefs. Plus 108 on the money line. Plus 108 on the money line is not bad. I'm sure you could just do some alt spread stuff and make that work even better. If you think that they're going to win by... So you could do Chiefs minus 2.5 at plus 130. I don't know. Chiefs on the money line at plus 108 is not a bad thing to start throwing into a parlay. But, just from an odds standpoint. But, again, looking at the Chiefs' performances, you got the week 1 that we just mentioned. And then that game against Cincinnati. Remember, you got the Rashee Rice pass interference that sets them up for the field goal. The Atlanta game, they win by 5, but in the fourth quarter of that game, they have 2 3-and-outs, and then the kneel down on the final drive, and then beat the Chargers by 7. The Chargers missing, basically their entire offensive line. Herbert's banged up as well, too. And maybe Herbert's just one of those constantly banged up guys. But they do, take care of business against the Saints on Monday Night Football in their last matchup. But regardless, they still haven't been able to really put any of these teams away. Besides Baltimore in week 1, which, again, they really didn't. Baltimore, again, had a chance to beat them and just couldn't quite make the play. But I get that if we're looking as well, too, at just maybe you could flip it the other way for the Chiefs and go, they are winning these close games, and they are at times executing the fourth quarter. I know the fourth quarter wasn't the best for them against the Falcons, but other than that, they still made the plays. Mahomes was able to make some plays. Pat Mahomes, of course, that guy, was able to make some plays against Cincinnati on that final drive as well, too, even though the pass interference was the biggest one. And for the Niners, again, I know they've been sloppy, but I feel like they are going to be a little bit more desperate on not dropping to 3-4 than the Chiefs are from dropping to 5-1. And I think Purdy needs to actually have, not a real game, obviously, because the man's had performances. He's been in a Super Bowl. He's shown that he can quarterback this team to, an elite level, but he needs to have a performance against an elite quarterback. And actually, I don't know why we always have to go to come out on top, but, actually has to, I guess, beat one of these quarterbacks. It's not much better of a way to say it. But, he's going to actually have to get a win against one of these top quarterbacks at some point to, solidify his name in that conversation. And if you look at his losses last year, or just the matchups that he played against the other big cornerbacks, he lost to Lamar and he lost to Burrow. And then his losses this year have been to Stafford, Darnold, and to Kyler. But, again, loses to Mahomes in the Super Bowl as well, too, which these are not, all time. We get it that these are, those are maybe the 1, 2, and 3 quarterbacks in the league. So if you say Purdy is the 4th best quarterback in the league, it's well, that's, it's about as good as you could imagine for the one-time last pick in the draft. But regardless, at some point, it's the same with Lamar, and it's why Mahomes is in a tier of his own as well too. But it's also why we have that little bit of more respect /fear /whatever for Joe Burrow, is because he's the one guy that's been actually able to climb Mount Mahomes and be victorious, actually make it to the summit. But I am all for putting Purdy in the conversation as, yeah, he is just one of the better QBs in the league. And I think Pro Football Focus has him right now graded out as the number 1 quarterback in the league. And let me see if they have his passing grade as number 1 as well, too. Because, you know, like Josh Allen's been number 1 a bunch of years, but the run, same with Lamar. And the pass grades for them have always been up near the top, which is why, I mean, you can't have a low pass grade and be the number 1 quarterback in the league. But if he's the number 1 and the number 1, so yeah, he's the number 4 passer, number 4, kind of like we were saying earlier. And I don't know if they have Mahomes rated 1, 2, or 3. We don't have advanced stats for the PFF. We don't have the paid version to like look through and sort through all the numbers. Nowadays, research is just like figuring out how to work around a paywall, essentially, and figuring out how to find the stats that are blocked. But Purdy is the 4th QB in the passing grades for PFF. And if he's going to actually have a moment against a top QB, I mean, this would be a good week for it as well, too. The Chiefs banged up. The Niners a little bit more desperate. And, you know, Debo is at least returning and seems like he's playing well as well, too. You know, I get they don't have McCaffrey right now, but they haven't had him all year. Mason's been performing in that role, and as long as the offensive line is healthy. I mean, who was the guy they brought in, the third stringer in the Thursday night game? And, the Seahawks run defense is not the end-all, be-all, but was it that Thursday night game where he had like 10 carries and almost 100 yards? Who was that guy? Shout out. Is it week 6? Oh, this is going to put our pronunciation skills to the test. Grendo? That was definitely an F if we were grading that pronunciation. Our boy Isaac G? Yeah, sorry, buddy. It's not going to happen. But the man put up almost 100 yards and just 10 carries, getting a first down necessarily every time. So, I mean, the run game for the Niners, we know that's going to be really solid. And, again, the thing for the Chiefs that has been able to help them is just Mahomes has been able to make a play when they need, and they've been able to have a little bit of execution in the fourth quarter. Let me double-check Mahomes' splits by quarter, because I think there was a dramatic, and maybe not quite dramatic, but a noticeable increase from the first 3 to the fourth. And for Purdy, I think it was the other way around, where his lowest completion percentage of any of the quarters was the fourth quarter. And, there's been some play calls, some stuff from the other teams as well, too. The Rams run a fake punt that have just been weird and necessarily gone in their favor. But I don't know if this Niners team is necessarily worse than they were last year. It is just Super Bowl hangover. It's that slug to try to get back into that spot after losing. You're going to, I don't want to say that you are a playoff team, obviously, because it's the NFL and you have to compete every week. But, I mean, the ability of the roster that you have if you're bringing all these guys back. And, again, a fake punt here and a couple of plays there, and maybe they're not a 500 team. But Mahomes has been an under 90 passer rating in each of the last 4 games. He was 101 in that opening game versus Baltimore. But obviously exactly what they needed in each of the last 4. 6-6 on the year for touchdowns and interceptions is pretty crazy as well, too. But if you go the splits by quarter for passer rating, first quarter passer rating, he's at 51. He's the worst quarterback of all time in the first quarter right now. And second quarter, 96. Third quarter, 89. And in the fourth quarter, his passer rating skyrockets to 122. Now, he's only thrown 22 passes. He's cut his pass attempts in half in the fourth quarter. You know, the run game for them has been very successful this year. And this is not, obviously, you know, we're the number one. Sam's the number one, and we're the number two Mahomes fan people out there. But maybe the Wolf guy, Chiefs Wolf fan, whoever that guy was, maybe he's number two, and I'm number three, because I wasn't actually, like, robbing things in the names of the Chiefs and in the name of Pat Mahomes. But they've been sloppy this year, and at some point that's going to catch up to them. And I think the Niners need to be a little bit more respected, even if they are that 500 team. Because I think, especially if the problem for them is, you know, if they're having problems getting it up from the Super Bowl hangover, it can happen, you know, if you have too much on the Super Bowl. But if they're having problems getting it up, maybe the Chiefs can get them aroused, and they'll be back in the in the mix and locked in like that OG Niners team. And again, if that run game is solid, you know, that Chiefs defense has been the strength of their team. And Purdy, maybe it's more, is it Purdy versus elite defenses or Purdy versus Mahomes? That is, you know, not the bigger question mark, but the bigger thing that's going to be more interesting to face. Because, again, you know, the Ravens and the Bengals as well, too, you've got two really good defensive schemers. You got Mike McDonald there last year. And, of course, our guy Lou. Shout out, not Lou from the pod. Lou, the defensive coordinator from the Bengals. Did the defensive coordinator from the Bengals write the book of wine from Downton Abbey? I don't think so. Shout out our guy Lou. Check out the episode if you haven't. Check out the book if you hadn't. The Downton Abbey wine book. A true classic, a true banger by our guy Lou. Did it get the Pulitzer? I think they opened up a new category for coffee table books for the Pulitzer and gave it to our guy Lou. A 1-point game with 90 seconds left as the Liberty head to the free throw line. I mean, this is it, people. This is one of those things where if you're the Link, I mean, you can be playing close and matched up and all the way in it, but if the second half ends like this too and it's a one, I mean, the Liberty are champions, obviously. And you can be like, wait a second. Run this back. How did this end? This is not over yet. We're right there. Look at that. The scoreboard says we're within 3. But the Liberty are going to potentially have the lead going into the half. Courtney Williams is going to have to save the day with the big 3. Or Collier. And McBride, obviously, a little resurgent in the second half. They're throwing the double at Courtney Williams. She's definitely passing out of it, but they passed it out to pass it back, and Courtney Williams gets the big 3, but she does it the old school way, the and one off the midi. Over Breanna Stewart. Unfortunately, she probably just made Breanna Stewart mad going into halftime. And she's going to put up 20 in the second half again. But on the arm, not obviously as clutch as the 4-pointer in game 1. But again, going into the halftime, losing to this Liberty team on your home court in an elimination game wouldn't be the best mojo going into the half. So tying it up here with 1:20. I still quite a few possessions to go. It's going to go back and forth a little bit. The score is going to change. Sabrina passing up the layup. Loops back around and misses it. She kind of had the shot on the first opportunity there. Didn't end up going for it. McBride's going to get the transition bucket the other way. And another insane and one. And again on Breanna Stewart. Back-to-back fouls on Stewie. Did she have any fouls before this? She did. That's her 3rd foul. Wow. So, I mean, On the bright side, she's not going to have to sit in the second half for very long, but 3 fouls going into the second half. Not ideal. Already on the Link home court. And is Stewie going to get the LeBron whistle in the second half? She did get 10 free throws in the second half, or in the last game, game 3. So there's a good chance that she'll get it again. But I was going to say, they left her in there. No way. They took her out. You can't chance it one bit. And Feinbeck still manages to get the bucket. The Liberty are down 1. I mean, you get Stewart out there to get buckets, so mission accomplished without her. Oh, sidestep 3. Was that McBride or was that Carlton? I don't think that was McBride. You don't want to end on a miss, though. They'll get about 4 seconds here on the 2-on-1, assuming the Liberty don't go sooner. Oh, they use Sabrina as the screener? Wow, that was almost a lethal play. She ran up to set the screen and kind of slipped it out to the wing. And again, I feel like she had the look, and she's such a playmaker and teammate. Head up looking for others, but she's had a couple of moments to take the shot. And, again, at the Liberty, we know the greatness of these players. They proved it in the second half of the last game. Anything we see here doesn't matter, because if it's close in the fourth quarter, these people are killers. But a big offensive foul. Free points, but the Liberty will get a shot with about 4 seconds left, and the Link just missed one of the free throws. I think this was the same person that missed that 3 a second ago. Is this Carlton? Whoa, back-to-back misses. Sabrina with 4 seconds. She's not going to get the half-court shot off. Whoa! It was close to going in anyways, but the Link up by 1. They can take a little bit of a deep breath. At least they were better in the first half. Stat time here. Collier, I feel like... Oh, they just said 12. Collier's been cooking. Collier needs to hit some shots when we're not talking about Purdy. No, just keep cooking, Collier. They need you to win this game. Nobody clip out us just say, just keep cooking. And say, this is what Rem thinks thinks of the WNBA. We're talking about her basketball skills. Fox, don't tune in. That's not what we mean. Yeah, Collier's at 12 points, 4 for 8 from the field. McBride, 4 for 5. So that one miss was her only miss, and she stopped shooting. So somewhat good there. Alana Smith, 1 for 4 from the field. And it's not even her making shots that's the big deal. It's just her overall efficiency. And she's always, in the right place for a rebound. Can make the right read defensively. So great at rotating over. And when she does shoot, usually it's easy shots. Those are going in. So, again, it's not like her 1 for 4. They need to start hitting those shots to carry the team. But they need her to have an efficient day. She's usually one of the highest plus-minus people as well, too. She's -1 for the first half. And Bridget Carlton is -5 for the first half. She did not miss those 2 free throws. Who was that? Zandalask something? The name is cut off here on the Bleacher Report. Let's go. I guess we can just check the ESPN here. Oh, update the ESPN score. My bad, people. Who is blowing this game for the Link? We got to hunt down the person who is missing these threes and missing these free throws. This person here, number 9, Zandalasini. +5 for the game, though, even though she's 1 for 3 from the field. So good minutes when she's out there, at least with the defense and with the effort. Still pulling down 3 rebounds. in 9 minutes. I guess 3 rebounds is better than 2 missed shots. I don't understand advanced analytics, but I guess they make sense. So I kind of want to pick the Niners to win this week against the Chiefs, since we should probably make a pick for our first game of the day. So we'll go Niners-Chiefs. Niners at home to win the Super Bowl rematch. Brock Purdy to stake his claim as one of the best players in the league. So we will take a quick halftime break and continue the NFL Week 7 picks in second act of Link Liberty right after this. Three, two, one, and we're back. Rem and Sam countdown here to get you queued up for the second half of Link Liberty. And Don't Front is still not on Spotify on Joey's 1999 mixtape. I think it might be a might delete later situation. I think it might be gone. I don't know if it'll be gone forever, but I think it might be gone for now. I think, were we thinking of the Kanye songs off the Vultures 2 album? Sky City? Can we bring Sky City back? I was going to bump that a little bit. In the sky, yeah, in the sky, yeah, yeah, yeah. Will we fly, yeah, will we fly, yeah, yeah, yeah. Kanye, Vultures 2, underrated? The WNBA, if that's not controversial enough, Vultures 2? No, I think once Joey's on it, hopefully we'll get it resolved. But If you guys haven't yet, go check out our Spotify playlist as well, too. I think Don't Front is in our spot. Let's see if Don't Front is in the spot Rem and Sam mix right now on Spotify. It's called the Rem and Sam mix. It's on Spotify if you guys want to search it. Otherwise, I think the link it's on our link tree. It's in the YouTube description. It's over on our Instagram description. Anywhere we have links, it's out there. It's a banger playlist, so check it out. I could be wrong. No, I think it's been in there. Is it? Oh, spoiler alert. Was it going to be in there in the next update? I think it was. Did we check the... I don't want to spoil too much about what's in the next version of the playlist. We're constantly updating it. Putting new songs in there. New songs that just release, obviously, that we're in on. But, you know, songs that are just... It's just, you know, whatever we're feeling at the moment. Putting it in a nice playlist. Yeah, Don't Front. There it is. Grayed out. Unfortunate. So we're going to have to replace Don't Front with the song off the 1999 album. Should we vote? Maybe we'll put it up for a vote. Chat, what should we do? Which song from the 1999 mixtape should we put in the next update for the Rem and Sam mix on Spotify? We mentioned Righteous Minds earlier. Survival Tactics we've been bumping a lot this year. Killuminati, Waves, Summer Nights. I mean, a ton of good options. We already mentioned Snakes and Daily Routine as well, too. But did we have Survival Tactics? We've probably already had songs from 1999 in past versions of the playlist. But I guess, spoiler alert, there will be at least one Joey song in the mix. So stay tuned for that. Follow that on Spotify if you haven't. And let's get a live line update here real quick on the Link Liberty. The Liberty were favored by 3.5 going into the game. Again, a road game. And the Liberty, we understand the dominance. We understand even how the scores have looked. So I guess that's the part that we always forget. Is it's not just like, was the game 3.5 for most of the game? No, it actually has the game that has to end, and they have to be within 3. It's moved to Liberty minus 2.5 with the Link up 1 right now. The Link are plus 100. So if we parlay the Link money line with the Chiefs money line, we can get that at 3-1 right now. Chad, are you going to watch us lose a parlay on Friday night and then have to sit there and watch the Chiefs win for nothing? No, we picked the Niners. We'll put the Chiefs in another parlay to hedge our emotions. But with Countdown fired up, where's Janae? No Janae tonight? I mean, more screen time for Andrea Carter. We're never going to complain about that. But the full crew, we appreciate the work that the Countdown Studio has been putting in this entire season. But continuing on with the Week 7 NFL picks, we've got maybe another Super Bowl preview. Lions-Vikings? What are the odds of that? I don't know. Does ESPN have a FBI percentage on? Is there odds of like in-season expansion and realignment, and we can get these teams in separate conferences and get them in there? But I don't know. Well, one, how the Hutchinson injury is, ultimately going to impact this Lions team, but a lot of the pieces they have in place, despite Hutch, it's like the power run game, the offensive line, with the way Montgomery and Gibbs have been playing this year, and with the way Goff has turned it around the last couple of weeks as well, too. Let's look at Goff's numbers the last couple of weeks, because I don't know if him and Sam Darnold are necessarily going in different directions this season per se, but it does seem like, where Goff had a little bit of a rough game or two there to start, and, Darnold was the MVP of the league. Now Goff, the efficiency is back, and Darnold has had a couple of picks, but Seattle versus Dallas. They have 42 points versus Seattle, 47 points versus Dallas. Again, defenses that are not necessarily great, but Goff himself, 83% completion percentage the last 2 weeks, 5 touchdowns, 157.5 passer rating, nearly perfect. I think what's perfect, like 158 something, 0 picks, 300 plus yards a game almost in both of those, 292 to 315. But with him cooking a little bit, maybe there's still enough. Obviously, not saying that this team is not going to be not a Super Bowl contender, especially out of the NFC. I still think, again, with what the offense is turning into right now and how it's seeming, we were hoping that it would grow from last season as well, too. Pause. You bring Ben Johnson back. You bring a lot of the pieces back. You insert Jamison Williams in a bit of a different role, and it's like still going to be the same awesome power run offense, but even a bit of a step up. And it does seem like now over the last couple of weeks, there is a peak version of this offense that's forming that is, even maybe a little bit more scarier than last year. But the defense is still a thing where I said it on Sunday with Sam when the injury happened, but especially from a defensive lineman standpoint, like him and TJ Watt are the two most, I'll say, impactful defensive linemen, but it's like, maybe impactful is just straight up the right word, but they definitely raise the level of all of the guys around him more than maybe any of the other pass rusher. And Myles Garrett is in that mix as well, too. I mean, just because the Browns are having a down year doesn't mean just because Deshaun Watson is doing Deshaun Watson stuff doesn't mean we have to just exclude Myles Garrett from the conversation. But, for this year, for trying to win the Super Bowl, for the teams that are competing this year, the most impactful defensive linemen, but I would just say defensive players in the league as well, too, are TJ Watt and Hutchinson. And, the Lions are definitely a more competitive team than the Steelers. So you could just say by default of that, Aiden Hutchinson's impact is more important because it's to a more important team. But I think you could almost argue that he himself was playing better than TJ Watt this year, which, I mean, TJ Watt, outside of Aaron Donald when he's been out there the last couple of years, has been the best defensive player in the league. And again, another guy where the win percentages with him on and off the field are like very dramatic. The Steelers are, the reason Tomlin has been hovering around 500 is because he can't figure out the quarterback thing, and now he's making a weird change, obviously, but because TJ Watt's missed half the time and they lose, they're like the 30% win percentage when he's out and then 70% when he's in, it'll all balance out. But Hutchinson this year on PFF, his grade for the season was 94.9, which number one for his position group as well, too. And again, I don't have the PFF premium stuff, so I'm sure you can just go in and sort all the players and see who the number one grade is on the season. But going through and looking at the other teams, this was basically the highest grade in the league. There's, a bunch of guys with grades over 90 plus. And not that PFF is the, end all be all stats thing or whatever, but just to have one way to put everything, all the numbers and impact and play-to-play stuff, just to have a way to put it all into one number. There are, let me see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14 guys. 12 guys. I can't count fast, but there's a, double-digit guys with a 90 to 92 grade for PFF. And those guys this year going backwards or, working up from 90 up is Kevin Byard was at a 90, Chris Jones at a 90.2, Teron Armstead 90.4, David Montgomery and Xavier McKinney both at a 90.5. David Montgomery, like we were mentioned with the earlier, has just been having an insane season. Derrick Henry and Khalil Mack both at a 90.9. A.J. Brown at a 91. Cameron Hayward and Myles Garrett at a 91.1. And then Nick Bosa at a 91.3. And then the guys with a 92 and above grades, like the guys that are just having the peak performance seasons right now, are Nico Collins with a 92.1, Fred Warner with a 92.6, James Daniels, center for the Steelers, is at a 92.9, but he got hurt, I believe, in the Colts game, so he's only played like 3 games this year. TJ Watt, who we mentioned earlier, is at a 93.6. Creed Humphrey, a 93.7. And then you have Hutchinson at a 94.5. And then the actual number 1 PFF grade that I saw on the site right now is Eric McCoy, the center for the Saints. So the centers are just balling out this year. According to PFF, 3 of the 5 best players in the league. The 5 best players in the league are all linemen, and 3 of the 5 best players in the league are centers. I think James Daniels is a center. Let me double check on that. He's either a center or a guard. Or he's moving around. Sorry, Steelers fans. We don't have your offensive line memorized like that. Whoa, Iowa guy. I guess only Iowa by college, not Iowa by birthplace. So, doesn't matter. Playing just, generic O-line, but does it have a snap count splits thing? Oh, well, interior offensive lineman for James Daniels. Not that important, but that's how the league feels this year, with the centers being the best players in the league. The second half underway as well, too, here. Finally, for Liberty Link. The Link hit a couple of shots, but the Liberty Brianna Stewart just tipped in a bucket. She's 3 for 12. So she'll hit her next 7 shots here. Put the Link away. The defense, the Liberty came to play in the second half. Oh, Courtney Williams. Uh-oh. It might just be one of those games. If it's a special Courtney Williams game, an incredible layup. It looked like they were going to get the block, but somehow she got the finish pause. But if it's going to be one of those Courtney Williams games, there's just nothing you can do about it. But all that to say with the PFF grades is you could basically make the case. I think you can make the case that the Lions just lost the best player in the league with Aiden Hutchinson. Or at least, Mahomes is the best player in the league, I guess. Or not even I guess. He is. He's earned that, of course. But who is the guy that is, again, peak performer in the league right now? They just lost the peak performer in the league. Aiden Hutchinson voted off the NFL island, unfortunately. And I think, it's not just that, again, they lost a great player. They lost a floor raiser for the rest of their offensive line. And it's not like they have an incredibly deep defensive line that is a reason for one of the reasons that they've been able to pressure the quarterback. And they have been having a great productive season from a lot of the guys. And they brought in DJ Reader as well, too, from the Bengals, which I think has been a big reason why their run defense has been improved this year. And, they've had good interior guys there as well, too. I'm pretty sure McNeil's still on this team, right? Yeah, McNeil and Reader are their 2 starting tackles. But right now on PFF, they've got Josh Paschal and Levi Onwuzurike as their starting defensive linemen. And the secondary, Arnold, I think, is going to continue to improve. Kirby Joseph and Branch, they got solid, really, really solid safety plays from both of those guys. And Davis, I think he's a veteran. He's been in big moments. I think they can get good play out of them in, fourth quarters and stretches when they definitely need him to. And maybe Arnold is the thing that can save him. Because, again, Hutch, it's the pressure from the defensive line, and it's anchoring everything that the defense is doing right now. But if Arnold could continue to improve to, and, asking him to be a shutdown corner in year 1 is, just an unfair thing to do. You don't bring a guy into, you just don't want to have those kind of expectations that quickly. You want to give a guy a chance, but he is right now really holding up in that spot against some of guys that, like Marvin Harrison Jr. is a rookie. So, another guy that's going to continue to get better as well too. But the stats for him have been good this year. And, I guess I said that safety play was pretty good, but I think the champ would probably be mad at us. Kirby Joseph. Is Kirby Joseph his favorite player on the Lions? Sneaky? No, he's an Amon-Ra guy, I think, for sure. But he's always had a lot of Kirby Joseph stock, and the man is performing at a high level. Brian Branch, of course, was a win of a second-round pick. So if somehow this team in defense can like flip around to where the defensive line was the anchor and it was helping the secondary, where the secondary can help out the defensive line, then maybe they can make up for the Hutch injury. But, if you start going like defense to defense personnel versus the Vikings, and maybe it's the Flores thing as well too, but I think the Vikings defense is just as good as the Lions defense, especially with Hutch out now. And the Vikings are off the bye. Kevin O'Connell versus Ben Johnson is really close to see who the better offensive mind is. And if you go, again, weapons for the Lions to Vikings, like, you might pick the Vikings in that as well too, for, again, how guys are performing this year, and with Sam Darnold's ability to get them the ball, and with his ability to put the playmakers and abilities to create. And I know you go, well, the Lions might have the better running backs, but yeah, I mean, I guess the receivers would be better for the Vikings. And even if you did like a cross-positional thing where some scissor, I don't know if it's to pause that, but we did some scissor comparisons here with the Lions and the Vikings, we would go, I guess you would still go for best skill player to best skill player, Jefferson versus Amon-Ra. That's either a wash to leaning just to Jefferson. And then this year, you'd probably have to go, Montgomery. So maybe Montgomery versus Jones, or Montgomery versus Addison. Maybe I guess the Lions are just stacked in general. We're trying to make the case for the Vikings. But again, the Vikings are undefeated, and they're off the bye week as well too. And they're at home. And I think the Lions were -2.5 for this line. Oh, it was -1.5 right now on FanDuel. Let me see if, does Bleacher Report tell you what it opens at? I think ESPN might. I feel like I saw that a little bit higher now. So maybe we're not the only ones going, hey, wait a second, haven't the Vikings actually been good this year? But again, Brian Flores' defense is absolutely legit, and Brian Flores, he's going to get pressure on Goff. He's going to make things pretty tough. Should we double check the Vikings defensive run stats real quick? Because Montgomery has been, they just gave him the extension, and with running backs, the payment thing is always going to be a little bit weird. But, he's absolutely deserved it. I'm sure you can check the tapes. I was all ready to give Gibbs the reins as not even just best running back on the team. Like, I thought, was there sneaky, could he be the best running back in the league potential? And Montgomery has just undoubtedly, again, been the best running back on that team. So the Vikings have been giving up the fewest. They've given up the fewest total run yards, but they've also, again, had the bye week. So let's go rush yards per game. Minnesota has the second best run defense per game for rush yards, and number 1 in touchdowns. So it's going to be strength on strength for offense versus defense. And are the Lions going to be able to pressure Darnold enough to get it? And, if it's not going to be the pressure of a guy one-on-one, now it's the Brian Flores thing or the Steve Spagnuolo thing, where your defensive coordinator has to scheme it up and has to get creative with how he's actually going to get the quarterback off rhythm. And I think Aaron Glenn is underrated as a defensive coordinator. I think he does a really good job there. I love the former player staff vibe that he built over there. And of course, Hard Knocks as well too. How do you not like Aaron Glenn's supporting character from his days in Hard Knocks? crush that role. But now it's really on him to put his guys in the right spots, pressure the quarterback. So at least I want to see what that's going to look like before I just start saying that the Lions defense is just going to be fine without Aiden Hutchinson. And again, the Vikings defense is at full strength, right? Do we need an injury update for the Minnesota Vikings? Cashman with the DNP. Okay, that is a big deal. Cashman having a big season for him. But it says toe injury. So what do we got? Turf toe for Cashman? Turf toe is one of those things. I see it and I go, oh, that's no big deal, right? And then they're like, no, yeah, he's out for the next month and a half. Okay, Cashman unlikely to play. And I guess wasn't Aaron Jones questionable as well, too? So maybe the Lions or the Vikings are a little bit more beat up than we were initially recalling. Okay, this doesn't say anything about Aaron Jones. This says Patrick Jones. Oh, no, Patrick and Aaron Jones, both questionable. But again, the Lions with definitely the biggest injury, though Aaron Jones would be not good as well either. And PFF number 3 running back? Top 3 PFF running back this year. Shout out Aaron. Oh, yeah, number 1. There we go. Shout out the notes. We had it written down. But, what else? A couple more Aaron Jones stats from IT. They say he is 5th right now in success percentage for running backs and 3rd in success percentage per game. Whoa, I didn't know you could do success percentage per game, but apparently Aaron Jones is 3rd in it behind Kareem Hunt and Joe Mixon. Kareem Hunt doesn't even count. He's played like 1 game, so really he's number 2 behind Joe Mixon. So stellar season so far for our guy, Aaron Jones. Oh, and the Liberty have reclaimed the lead at 61-58. And Kayla McBride just went to the bench. And there's 3 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. We're only on our 2nd pick, people. We're going to have to rip through these. I thought IT said the schedule was get through the picks by the 4th quarter and then focus on the game. I don't know if that's going to happen. But these are the heavy hitter games anyways. So in terms of the ones, I mean, which games are you guys mulling over this week? Chat, what are we thinking about? Which games have been stuck in your craw? Because, I mean, Super Bowl rematch, NFC North showdown versus the top 2 teams. And also, this is, I think, a really fun game as well, too. Ravens at Tampa. Ravens versus Bucks. Hurricane Mayfield taking on Baltimore. I don't know if that's a thing we actually want to start as a nickname. I'm still iffy on if I think it's, like, actually a good nickname or not, or just funny because that one guy jogging through the hurricane looked a lot like Baker Mayfield. But Hurricane Mayfield's what we're going with for now. And Tampa has also been like a sneaky good team this year. That Denver loss, I think, was a little, tough for, not even tough for the resume, again, because Denver was good. But anytime you lose to Bo Nix, we're not ranking him up there high as one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So there's always going to be a little bit of something for that. But I believe they're a top 10 DVOA team right now. I want to say they're number 9 overall. Once we get this actually checked correct. Yeah, number 9 and number 10 in offense, number 11 in defense. So they're balanced on both sides, running it back from last year. And seems like they're really starting to round into shape again as well, too. Todd Bowles, is he coaching a good performance? Dave Canellis, apparently not as important as we all thought, because the Panthers haven't necessarily been stellar. And I don't know if that's Canellis' fault, but Godwin this year as well, too. And has it just been health for him? Mostly just health, but it does seem like, him and Evans have definitely been successful in both roles, so we shouldn't say that. But it does seem like one of them can be emphasized more then, like, how many combined 100-yard games have where they both have had 100 yards in a game, or both had, I don't know what the good mark would be, like one at 75, both at 75 plus, both at 80 plus or whatever. But, you know, where you go into like a Bengals game and, you know, when they're the peak versions of themselves, and you got that Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins thing going, you know, it would seem easy for both of them to get 80 yards and a touchdown. I mean, you draft them in fantasy because you think, oh, connect people. Sorry, people. We'll be back in a second. But at least we're getting the disconnect fixed before we realize it's too late. Testing? Testing? ASAP Rocky, drop an album soon, please. Testing, testing. Long live ASAP. Testing? Okay, I think we're back. Is everything good to go? We're plugged in. We're unmuted. Are we live? Ravens Bucks. 1:25 left in the third. It's tied. Courtney Williams jacking up a midi. And it's still tied. She missed. But Tampa Bay is definitely not a team to sleep on. Baker is rounding into full form. And with Godwin having a career year in success percentage, 71%, leading the league in touchdowns and receptions. Wow, Chris Godwin. Wow. Do we just need to get an Owen Wilson drop to put that in there? So we don't have to do it. 81% catch percentage is his easiest catch percentage. And the yards to target are his highest total since 2020. So higher than each of the last 3 seasons. Again, just a career year for him. Getting help. Never really been a poster child of health in the league, but this year playing 6 games, he's only played, I guess he started all the games one time. He played in 16 games his first 2 years, but only started in 2 games his first and 5 games his second. Then 14, 12, 14, 13 starts, 15 games in 2021. And then last year played all 17 games, but only with the 2 touchdowns, 83 for 1,024 and 2 touchdowns. You got to score more touchdowns for the fantasy purposes. We need those points, but 5 touchdowns. His matching his total from each of the last 2. He's 5 touchdowns the last 2 years combined, 5 touchdowns this year. If we haven't thrown enough Chris Godwin numbers at you, there's another one. Liberty up by 1. The Link triple the amount of free throws tonight than the Liberty. So maybe the league wants this to go another game. The WNBA wants to keep riding the high from the season. They don't want to end. Can we get another hit off this game, please? Off this finals. They're going to smoke this finals pack all the way down to the filter. They will make sure the Link win this game if they have a chance. But I think with the Ravens and Henry still being in the front half of the season as well too, once we start getting into the later games like Sam is saying, I know we're defending Derrick Henry, but of course in the back of my mind we're keeping an eye on it as well. But week 6, week 7 against the Bucks, Derrick Henry's cooking, baby. And again, Derrick Henry not in the kitchen, but on the football field. Now, see, the problem is that when we said, shall we go into this any further? Maybe not, but you're like, no, go for it. But Ravens, Bucks, I think we're going to go with the Ravens in this one. 18 seconds left as the Link go for another set of free throws. They're going to quadruple the amount of free throws here over the Liberty. But Texans at the Packers. I'm realizing now as we're going through our games, we've got a bunch of road teams here picked to win. So maybe, yeah, it's a good thing we picked the Niners to win just to get a home team in there. Did we make a pick in Lions versus Vikings? I feel like, can we double zag? If we double zag, is that just a zig? I don't even know how this, if we can double jinx the picks like that, but let's go. Do we pick the double home underdog? I guess not really a home underdog, but, you know, the home -1.5s. The half-court three-point attempt is no good. And once again, the Link end of quarter up by 1. So fourth quarter, here we go, folks. Will we be going live Sunday for Game 5? Or will we be watching the Liberties celebrate the championship? We're about to find out, people. Nafisha Collier being interviewed at the end of a third. Let's see what she says. This is crazy that they're interviewing a player right now. Yeah, she's just trying to get through this as quickly as possible. Pause. I can't believe they honestly just did that. Interviewed a player. Headed into the fourth quarter of an elimination game of the WNBA Finals. If you're trying to do all this stuff to benefit your product, leave the players alone. Honestly, during the regular season, I think it's probably fine. You know, who really cares? Maybe if we get like a 1 or 2 or 3 interesting quotes throughout the year. Is it worth it just for the couple of moments? I mean, it's like a photographer or a Todd Phillips movie. You know, you got to get 4 hours of footage just to find the good one in there. So if we do the interviews enough, maybe we get interesting soundbite every now and then. But definitely come playoff times, we should stop it. And if you want to stretch it to the first round or second or whatever, but I mean, championship round finals, let the players play, let the coaches go. When they do the earphone interviews and they just cut to the coach, I mean, I'm all for the idea of it. But once it becomes clear that it's annoying, and I don't know, can we just eliminate something for being annoying? Is that enough? Does it have to, everything have to be tied to ratings? Kawhi is in a commercial against Anthony Edwards and Bam Adebayo. Kawhi's about to log more minutes in this commercial than he is on the season. Wemby? Is this a commercial for the start of the league? I mean, I didn't, obviously that's what it was. These players were in full uniform, and again, Kawhi and Anthony Edwards, like, I don't think they're making Hustle 2 this quick, so it's got to be a promo for the NBA. But I was stunned at first that they would put Kawhi Leonard as the number 2 player you see in a promo for the NBA. Now, if that doesn't show you where they want for Anthony Edwards and what they want for Anthony Edwards, I mean, the ESPN promo for the start of the NBA season, the first guy we see is Anthony Edwards. The best player in the league is Jokic. The second best player in the league is Giannis. Embiid's won a couple of MVPs. Wemby is maybe actually the under 23 player that, you know, everybody really wants and is the darling star to build around. But no, Anthony Edwards is the guy. And obviously we're not doing this. We're not zigging and zagging again. We love it. We're all for it. It's just, this is it, people. The time is now. The Anthony Edwards ascension is not even in full. The ascension on the court and the ascension for stardom as well too. Like, as he gets better and as he performs and has highlights in big moments and accomplishes more things, you know, his stardom will grow with that as well. But in terms of Anthony Edwards as the, I mean, I guess is it safe to say that Anthony Edwards is the face of American basketball? No, LeBron. We're being over dramatic, but LeBron and Steph were. Do we need to rewind it? Where were LeBron and Steph in that commercial? It was a lot of young guys. Was Brunson in that commercial? Do we need to go break down that commercial again? Hopefully they rerun it. The fourth quarter is here. A Jonquel Jones, Sabrina pick and roll to start. It results in a Jonquel Jones missed layup. But right away, you see it's all the stars. SZA would be proud. It's going to be the headliner players that determine this game. And Xanda Lacini still taking shots. And this time they're going in. So maybe the middies are a good idea. And again, she's been +5. Has she kind of been the secret to the game? That was a big make to open the fourth right there. Breanna Stewart losing the rebound. Getting dragged to the court. They just submitted Breanna Stewart. She taps. I think it's a jump ball, but very easily could have been a win by submission. A TKO. Breanna Stewart looked like she dove face first into the court there. Almost actually a TKO for a second. Is that Dawn Staley on the sideline? No, I don't think so. Will we see Dawn Staley at the sideline of a WNBA Finals game? And not in the Sudeikis role, but in a coach role. Dawn Staley to the Fever? Chat, what do we think about, what's the name of the Fever's coach? Christy Sykes? Oh, and one for Jones over Collier. Pushing Collier into the third. No, offensive foul? Yeah, because Collier, the reaction off the foul was, you know, she backed up, but she didn't fall down. So I don't know if that means it's a charge versus a block, but, you know, I guess in terms of her standing her ground and having her position. But again, the league making sure the Lynx get the call. And it results in a layup for the Link. It's Link by 5. Is this the largest lead of the game for the Link? This has to be the first time they're up by 2 shots. Oh, Ionescu for 3. A big miss. And obviously she's clutch. We trust her in any situation, but she is a little, if she doesn't get, you know, she's a little, again, Steffi in that range. You can see some nights it's not there. I don't think this is totally one of those nights, though. And Breanna Stewart with the and one. Back-to-back finals, a champion at all levels. She knows what she's doing here. She's not worried. Again, they have game 5. And let's be honest here. I'm rooting for the Link again to get revenge for the Aces, but if the Liberty are going to break this title drought, the New York, and again, this is not just the Liberty title drought, this is the New York title drought. Let's see this happen in New York. This has been a historic season for the WNBA, a groundbreaking season for the WNBA, an excellent playoffs, excellent performances from all sorts of players at every stage of the season. Let's get the series to go the distance. Go 5 games, a 1-game elimination on the Liberty's home court for a chance to win their first title, and a great way to cap off this season. I think that would be a perfect storybook ending. We need Kayla McBride to hit some threes here. Xanda Lacini! Forget McBride. Xanda Lacini is taking over. Papa Xanda Lacini is proud. I don't think that was Papa. Never mind. Oh, the defense. Xanda Lacini's defense. Yeah, it's too much. It's a foul. Has she even played at all? I mean, come on, people. We would have remembered Xanda Lacini's name. I never forget a Xanda Lacini when I see one. Is there any NBA Xanda Lacinis? Italian. 4 points a game on the season. Opted out of playing in the WNBA since 2019. So returned on her 5-year hiatus to just to randomly show up in the finals and start winning playoff series for the Lynx, start swinging championship games. She's played this series 9 minutes in game 1, 8 minutes in game 2, and 7 minutes, almost 8 in game 3. 0 for 1 in game 2, and then 2 for 2 in game 3. So I guess she caught fire going 2 for 2. Really found her groove. They're up by 8 on the backs of Xanda Lucini. Ionescu gets to the rim and ties it up with 6 minutes. Ionescu, you want to go back to New York, let's be honest. You're better at home. You're going to wipe the floor with them once you get back. It's game 5. We made it. Once we make it to the end, you can even if it's the first quarter, if you want to completely annihilate them, go for it. Again, we made it that far. It's all good to go. You get that early viewership and call her a day. And this is big. The Liberty go back up by 2 on a mini run. Again in the fourth quarter, Sabrina is too much in the playmaking. And that's where, you know, when she was off the ball a little bit earlier, when you're running the plays for her off the ball, it's almost like you're running them for her to get the shot. So, again, going back to that 3 that she passed up. It's not necessarily the wrong play because, again, she's always kind of doing the right thing and she's looking for other people. But it's just kind of utilizing what the design of the action is for. So in the fourth quarters when they go and she's just completely taking over and running everything, I mean, it's unstoppable. She's making all the decisions, but she's actually on the ball creating in that role, and it makes sense. And that's why they've probably been able to pull away at the end of all these games, close out all these teams, is Sabrina in the pick and roll with, you can just go pick and roll Breanna Stewart, pick and roll Jonquel Jones, just, you know, pause, switch off every time. Get yourself into different matchups. I mean, obviously we know Sabrina and Jonquel Jones you can mix and match that however you want, but they're definitely using a little more, you know, Feinbeck, Lainey Hamilton, the others early on. And I don't, you know, Breanna's probably going to get finals MVP. She had the 30-pointer game. I don't know what the stats are looking like for tonight, but it's not like Sabrina is tearing it up and carrying so far. So, I mean, they could still both finish with a pretty even performance. And Jonquel Jones has been the one that's been carrying tonight. 6 for 7 from the field, 18 points. Breanna Stewart, 5 of 16, 11 points. Sabrina's 8, 4 for 12 from the field. Sabali, 11 minutes? I feel like, well, I guess they're winning right now. So, again, we can't just say that the Liberty are doing it wrong. They're about to win the title, but I got Sabali stock. I'm invested in the Sabali family. I want to see him out there on the court. Sabali? Chat, can we get a pronunciation guide? For, is it Natalie Sabali? But Sabrina's probably not going to win Finals MVP, but I kind of hope she does. She'd be our pick. Even some of the Breanna Stewart shots are set up by what, you know, Sabrina's setting up for her from a playmaking standpoint. So here we go. Final stretch, people. It's been back and forth. 13 lead changes for the game. Yeah, the largest lead for both sides. New York by 6, Minnesota by 5. And right now it's New York by 2. McBride to tie it up. Oh, the bank shot from the mid-range. A little Westbrookian. Westbrook would have, a real stiff mid-range. That was a nice floater. 16 on the night. McBride's going to have to match Sabrina here in the fourth. It's their only hope. Can Kayla McBride keep up with Sabrina? She's getting cut on the back cut right now. Breanna Stewart can't get a bucket. She got the step through and got the open look, but clanked it off the front of the rim. Oh, it's going to go to Collier. One-on-one. And she draws the foul. Oh, no, they just give her the ball out of bounds. But everything's going to go to Minnesota for this last 5 minutes. And it's not just going back to any city either. I mean, the title's going back. The finals are going back to New York if this goes to Game 5. I'm sure you want another game in that facility. Barclays. Oh, and the WNBA's worst fear. The New York has challenged it. Unfortunately, they have to go to the monitor and potentially review this and call it correctly. But the Liberty can only do that so many times. So maybe in the last couple of minutes. And I feel like they can probably only do it. This is probably their challenge, right? This is their attempt at it. So in the last couple of minutes, the WNBA is going to be able to control what they want. But we're in timeout, so Texans at the Packers. CJ Stroud is cooking with Joe Mixon back. And I know the Packers are finding a bit of their groove recently. And Josh Jacobs looks good. And we were mentioning with the 90 overall people, Xavier McKinney is probably the best defensive back in the league right now. And he's just been good for nearly an interception a game. And they have had another safety that was looking good on the advanced stats as well, too. There is some special team stuff with him, but not special needs, special team stuff with him. He's on the kickoff return, but when he's playing out the defensive snaps, they do look pretty good. So that secondary is really shaping up, and Dobbs looked good as well last week too. I didn't really look into what that story was. We saw the suspension happen, and if you had watched him as well too earlier in the year, he wasn't. I have a lot of Romeo Dobbs stock, so I didn't think he was quite living up to that. But the couple of touchdown grabs that he made past week, were very impressive. He is back, but I think the Texans were the Texans minus 5.5 again with the home teams. No, maybe I just have old lines stuck in my head. My bad, people. I didn't get the lines drilled in the memory as much as possible, but Green Bay is minus 2.5 right now. Houston is plus 134 on the money line. So, I mean, scrap that, people. We're taking Houston. Plus 134. A little AFC championship parlay. Chiefs, Texans. I'm trying to think if this includes a bet I have in here already. I don't think it does. Plus 386. Oh, yeah, here we go. Plus 386 if you go Chiefs and Texans to win. I mean, that's pushing on 4-1, people. Just to get both those teams to outright victories. That is not bad. Both of them on the road against good opponents. You're going to be grinding it out, but just to get those teams to win, you're probably not going to be able to parlay both of those together and get better odds at any point in the season. So lock the Texans in for this one. And on this review, I mean, I think this might be clearly off Collier. Can they review for fouls here? Ruko just mentioned something about that. What is he saying? Yeah, I think they can only review possession here. But I think it's clearly off of Collier. The ref just wiped his face pretty aggressively with a towel. He's sweating pretty bad. I don't know if the league told him something. We need the link to get this to a Game 5, and you're going to call this no matter what the camera angle looked like. Yep, the league phoned it in. It's unsuccessful. Unfortunately, they've got the good, honest ref working the day, and he's sweating like a... Shout out to Norm. He's sweating like a whore in church, but... Oh, no, I guess they did review for a foul or whatever there, so... The ref did it right, but... Collier was the last one to touch the basketball before it went out of bounds. And Collier missed the layup. So, ball don't lie, people. The Liberty get it back with it tied at 72. And the clock's not moving on ESPN. It wasn't just moving for a second. What just happened? Did the clock stop? The clock just got stuck at 4:49 for a minute. Not a minute, but I feel like it was, you know, it was there for a good period of time. However you want to phrase it. Second, minute, moment. A bit. It was there for a bit. I feel like a bit's too long, though. Whoa! Breanna Stewart turns into Mutombo with the swat. Does she do the finger wag? Oh, she clanks the three on the other end. A real momentum killer. It's just not her night tonight, people, offensively. It's really the only thing keeping the Link in the game at this point. And Alana Smith gets an easy look to the basket. Breanna Stewart, frustrated, probably lost track. This is where she's tense. You know, she's been primed to shoot up a shot or two when she's not feeling it. We noticed that from the last game. Of course, she's a great player. They started going in. And Jones just had her on the back cut. If she had kind of switched that shot attempt into a pass. But that block was insane. Not off the backboard. Have we seen a WNBA block off the backboard? Whoa! Zandolcini? No, that was Carlton with the three. Finally getting one to go. A 7-0 run by Minnesota puts Minnesota up by 5. Can New York tie? Oh, big three by New York. It's a 2-point game with 2:50 left. Courtney Williams is going to run the show. And with 2:45, is there no Kayla McBride? Oh, no, Kayla McBride's there. This is the 5 that they run with. And it's McBride that pulls through with the big 3. The Link are locked in here, people. They don't want to go home. The fourth quarter. I mean, they just don't want their fans to go home watching the Liberty win a championship. They're not giving up threes right now. Ineska's getting to the rim. The last couple, I feel like, have been layups. And Collier hasn't gotten a shot off in a second as well, too. And it's still working, so you can't be mad about that. Oh, a turnover. Here we go. It's a one-possession game, and they finally broke serve. But again, they're not giving up those threes. Here we go. It's McBride versus Ionescu, 1v1. The battle of the great guards. Now it's Courtney Williams. It doesn't matter. Ionescu will score on anybody. She doesn't get it to go. Courtney Williams. This is where she's taking and making big shots time and time again. With 90 seconds left. I mean, these people are louder for the Link than they are for the Timberwolves. Is that Anthony Edwards? Whoa, it misses. This happens, people. This is not the NBA as well. These games get sloppy when they're tense. Jones with the easy and one. The game's about to be tied. Jonquel Jones is the MVP of the Liberty tonight. If they pull this one out. That would make it interesting for a finals MVP. Probably Breanna Stewart. Probably in like a, you know, Jaylen Brown had the better performances to start the series kind of way. But Jaylen Brown was awesome as well too. But Jonquel Jones. Do we have 60 seconds to do finals MVP numbers? Let's get a quick overview of this series to see what we're dealing with going into this game. Because, again, I think Sabrina is probably off the board for that, even though she hit the biggest shot of the series. We could be 60 seconds away from seeing history, people. Do we not have stats? Can I get some stats? The 4 factors. I want actual stats. Okay, we're just going to have to go see what these players are doing 1v1. So I guess we know it's just going to be Breanna Stewart or Jonquil Jones. So this will be pretty easy to check out. The only thing holding us back will be the time it takes to load. But again, Breanna Stewart's shooting hasn't necessarily been there. 28% in game 1, 38% in game 2, but her scoring has improved in every game. Newcomer Julius Randle in the building. Is he there for the Liberty or the Wolves or the Link? He could be emotionally invested in both of these teams. Still not over the Liberty, but of course he's got to be there watching his new team. I mean, he's just in green, which is the one shared color that these two teams have. Tied game. Link with the ball, out of timeout. Is this a play for Collier? It's a play for McBride. McBride's going to get to the rim. Oh, Collier just grabbed a clutch offensive rebound and threw it back into the Liberty. All for nothing. Now the Liberty have a chance to take the lead. Is this it for the series? Jonquil Jones in the post. Your finals MVP fading away. It doesn't roll in. Stewart's tip doesn't roll in, but she gets the board. Sabrina with 30 seconds, and this is now like last shot territory. Game winner territory. History can be made. Stewart falling away. Oh, it's a bad shot, people. It's a bad shot, but it's still tied. Play some defense, and you could send this puppy to overtime. It wouldn't be too bad. Breanna Stewart for the series, 23 points a game. 9 rebounds. I don't know how important those percentages are in the WNBA, but she's in the 30s. And again, you're not looking for a 50, 40, 90 in the finals, but if Jonquil Jones is an efficient, like 19 a game, then I feel like the conversation is a little bit geared toward preference. But Jonquil Jones in her 3 games, I don't know if she's going to have the scoring overall. She was brilliant in game 1 when they lost 24-10. But only really 24 points combined after that. See, she's 50. See, she is a more efficient 54%, 17 points a game from the field, 8 rebounds. So tonight, that would bring her to, let's do some quick math, people. Oh, well. Sorry, we just cut out our stream. We're going to have to get the stream back before we do the math. Oh, this could be the first time for 2 overtime games in a finals for the WNBA. So it's her second 20-point performance tonight for Jonquil Jones. Would put her at 18 points a game, though. 18 points a game with 18 seconds. If Jonquil Jones, whoever hits the game winner is the finals MVP. is what this comes down to. Williams is going to get it. She's going to take the last shot. I believe in Courtney Williams. She ISOs. Back and forth, the crossover. MJ! Oh, the tip-in doesn't go. Is there a foul? They foul on the offensive rebound attempt. Courtney Williams tried to shake the defender like she's Byron Russell. Didn't work. Bridget Carlton, though. Anescu getting a little too deep in the box out. Pause. That's a crazy one. As I was saying it, I knew there was going to be a pause. And then as I did not realize how crazy that one was going to be. But 81-80 with 2 seconds left. The Link have a chance to keep their season alive. Knocks them both in. We're taking the Texans over the Packers as we go to timeout. Another game we really love. Chargers-Cardinals. We love this Chargers team. Do we love it as much as we love this Lynx team right now? I don't know, but in terms of AFC competitiveness, is this the number 4 team in the AFC? Are my might delete later playoff confidence ratings Chiefs, Ravens, or I'd say Chiefs, Ravens, Texans, Bills. Chiefs. I just couldn't get it out straight. Chiefs, Ravens, Texans, Chargers, and then probably the Bills at 5. I like this Chargers defense more than I like the Bills defense. Their offensive line, when fully healthy, is probably better. And yes, Josh Allen is Josh Allen, but Harbaugh over McDermott as well too. So this is a really fun matchup in Arizona. And I hate to pick 3 road teams in a row, but we picked the Link to win his home as well too. So does that kind of even it out? We're taking the Chargers over the Cardinals. And we mentioned Mac's performance earlier in the season. Mac and Bosa, when that combo is healthy, they're maybe playing the best together that they both played. They maybe have had better individual peaks, but as a combo, this might be the best that they've looked out on the field. 2 seconds left. The New York have a chance to win it with a 3. They could win the title on a game-winning 3. Sabrina! Oh, wow. I mean, that would have been the shot of all. That would have been maybe the greatest shot in basketball ever. A game winner to win the finals at the buzzer. The ball hit apex when the buzzer went off. I mean, if that isn't a Steph Curry type thing, because to get that extra arc as well too, that dramatic hang in the air. Wow. Again, the finals living up to the hype. A dramatic game. The Link fans go home happy, and the season is extended one more game. Sunday, people, we will have a championship matchup between these two teams. Wow. And, you know, Sabrina, it's a long 3, fading away, turning to her right. Maybe you wouldn't give it like a 10 out of 10 on shot quality, but it's still, I think, a look that you're okay with. Absolutely. I'd have no regrets about that shot if I was the Liberty. And you go home, you live to see another day, you know you're the better team, and you got to step out there and perform the next one. So Kayla McBride was great. Collier is happy. Courtney Williams is happy. And we know Sabrina and Stewart are going to be out for revenge in Game 5. So the Liberty are going to be locked and loaded and ready to go. Brianna's not going to have those games back-to-back. But Jonquel Jones dropping 20 points in losses, I don't know if that's, you know, some WNBA storylines going on there. Because we know she has the MVP in her past. And now she's teamed up with a former MVP who's won rings herself. So, you know, I don't know what the storylines are for, you know, Jonquel Jones. Can she win the title? But So far with her as the leading scorer in the games, it has not been the winning solution. And they're going to be going back to game 5 to try to figure something out. But let's, we can rip through the rest of these picks real quick because, again, now we're in the tier of games where I kind of am just interested in these games more so than I think maybe they're just important games. Like Chargers-Cardinals, for me, is a game that I'm just more excited to watch than maybe it is like an impactful game for the season. But I think the Chargers, again, are like... I would go, if we go the tiers, I would put the Ravens in the, see, it's tough with the Chiefs right now. The Chiefs, I guess, they're just in their own tier. I don't know if it's above or below or whatever teams, but the Chiefs are just in their own tier. Ravens and Texans are there in their own tier. And then the Chargers and Bills are probably in their own tier as well, too. But they're right in the mix for being, knocking on the door of being, I think, a real competitive AFC team. So this could be a big win against a feisty Cardinals team. We've got the Falcons versus the Seahawks. The Seahawks defense has been a sieve the last couple of weeks. And Kirk Cousins is, Kurt Thuggin now with the look that he's rocking at the press conference. But do we just have to take the home team here? We've taken a string of road teams. I think Seattle will get back on track. This offense against the Falcons defense, not the most terrifying defense in the league. So the Seahawks, I think, can pick up the win. The Jags versus the Patriots in London. I mean, the Jags literally have been in London a week longer. Like, they don't even have to leave London. The Patriots are flying over. You have to win this game if you're the Jags. That's like the biggest travel advantage that the NFL can give you. And I was trying to think, like, has this ever happened before in NFL history, too, that teams have gotten 2 back-to-back London games? Like, that just seems crazy. And the only other time this happened was last season. The Jags beat the Bills in London when it happened as well, too. So they couldn't even fire Doug Peterson as well, just because, I mean, Doug Peterson has nowhere to go. What's he going to do, just walk around London the whole time? Maybe this is the week that it finally happens, but we have to pick the Jags literally just based on the travel thing. If the Patriots were even, if Drake May had played like 2 more games, perhaps we'd be picking the Patriots no problem, and we're probably going to feel stupid for not picking him this week to get his first win of his career against the Jags. But regardless, the travel thing is too much, and I think Jags will be able to finally get a win in London. But Colts versus the Dolphins, the return of Anthony Richardson. Definitely a winnable game. Mike McDaniels. Is Tua back yet? I don't know if Tua will ever be back, but Anthony Richardson is back, and I think the Colts will pick up the win. The undefeated Colts, according to my predictions, maybe we'll be back above 500 anyways with this one. Eagles at the Giants. I think we're going on another mini road team run here, picking the Eagles against the Giants. Is Neighbors back, though? Never mind, people. We're flipping our minds. Let's take the Giants against the Eagles. The Eagles are just ready to fall apart, and the Giants, at least they're trying. And maybe that's more you can say than the Eagles. So they're at home as well. Our guy, Brian Daboll, picking up the divisional win. Bengals at the Browns. The Bengals minus 5.5. I mean, this is the grossest game probably to pick of the week. Even these couple other games, it's like, yeah, these are obviously not good games, but this one is going to be ugly either way. Obviously, the Bengals could just go in there and their offense could trounce them and lay the smack down and it could be nothing, but a divisional game. The Browns are desperate. They're at home. It's been ugly this whole time. Are they just due for a good performance and just randomly have it happen against a Bengals team that has 1 win on the season, is favored by minus 5.5? Like, that just in theory seems wrong. I don't know what sportsbook rules and regulations there are in place, but a 1-win team being favored by anybody over minus 5.5 is nuts. So it's just keep an eye on that one. Maybe just take the Browns to cover the spread. Maybe it's like a 3-point game. The Bengals offense, maybe they give up 20 points to the Browns somehow. But Commanders versus Panthers. This could have been the bad owner bowl if Dan Snyder was still there. But Josh Harris in the new Jaden Daniels era is, unfortunately what the Panthers wanted with the David Tepper, Bryce Young combo. And it's not happening. It's not forming into fruition. And it's not going to happen this week either. The Commanders keep rolling against the Panthers. Do we get to 40 again? Can we bet alt point totals, get the Commanders up to 40? That might actually be worth a look. And I don't know what the points per game on this Panthers defense is. It can be feisty from time to time. But we really trust this Commanders offense. -8.5. At home, too. And maybe this is something that pulls up later. Oh, so you can bet an exact point total for the Commanders. So 40, you can bet 40, 41, 42. So for them to have 40 points exactly is 42-1. But for them to have 41 points is 22-1. So I don't know what the football math is for scoring 40 to 41. But apparently it's twice as hard because the odds are twice as high. But 44 points at 55-1. I mean, you could just bet all. Probably win something if they get into that 40-point range. Do they have something a little more broad? Race to 30. Both teams to score 35 plus? No. I think that's our best bet, people. I think if we want to go Commanders over... I mean, there's probably some alt spread stuff that we could do as well, too. But the exact point total, 43 and 44 points, both at 55-1. We might be locking that in for this week. But regardless, we're locking in the win. And then the last two games, like we said, ugly games, but definitely, maybe the Browns just go to the bottom every week, no matter who they're playing. Bills versus the Titans. Yeah, I think the Browns do because, I mean, we'd much rather watch Will Levis than Deshaun Watson. And Rams over Raiders? I mean, yeah, we'd much rather watch Stafford over Watson as well, too. So that's my bad, people. We will put an amendment into the Rem and Sam pod. Going forward, when we're doing the picks, the Browns will be the last team mentioned because they are not worth mentioning. But Bills versus Titans, the polar opposite QBs, the chaotic Josh Allen that can, 95% good, 5% bad, and Will Levis, we got the 5% good, the 95% bad. Lock it in for the Bills. And then the Rams over Raiders. If the Rams are going to go 4-13 this year, this is going to be one of the 4 wins. And was it Lombardi on Simmons' podcast saying that there was rumors of Brady wanting to hire Bill Belichick now that Brady is owner of the Raiders, which just seems crazy to me. And honestly, I know that it might be like this is cute. These guys, they want to reunite together and work together again. They actually miss each other. And could they patch up, whatever weird, hard feelings they had? They already had the roast. And Belichick was out there for the Netflix thing. So maybe this is just the inevitable course of history that they would work together again. But I wonder if this is also like a sneaky power play by Brady as well, too. I mean, he would literally be Belichick's boss. And yes, this would be a different stage of their career and a different thing competitively where, obviously at this point, the football stuff is the football stuff and nothing that they do matters. But the perception of Brady in charge, Belichick works for him. And, there's the obvious outcome of that of it doesn't go well. It doesn't go well in 4 years. Maybe it doesn't go well in, I guess, 10 years is whatever. But, it doesn't go well in the future. And he has to make the move and let Belichick go. Like, that could be an interesting note in the Brady-Belichick relationship, that there is this point where Brady and Belichick work together, and I don't know if this roster is in a great place. I don't know what kind of assets they're going to have going forward for getting a QB, for building this team out as a competitor for Belichick to have something to work with. And I wonder if Brady could kind of be playing Belichick here by bringing him in as a potential head coach, and maybe even playing him by just making the offer as well too, and just, making Belichick have to choose the league or not the league, and making Belichick like admit that he doesn't want to coach again or something like that. I think it's Brady Belichick mind games more than Brady Belichick. Because Brady's just not the type of guy that would be like throwing himself at Bill Belichick, like, oh yeah, I'm really clamoring at an opportunity to like. Does Brady like want to work with any? I guess like he likes all the Patriots, like Edelman and Gronk. Maybe Brady gets in on the new Edelman Gronk pod, but I don't know if he's been chomping at the bit and like, is he telling people in the off time that, oh man, I'd really love to work with Belichick again sometime. I really hope that me and Belichick reunite. Like, I wonder if Brady is playing some weird 3D chess by potentially wanting to pursue that, if that was even a true rumor, because I think I heard that comment on the pod in passing, and I'm not even really sure what he said, but there was that rumor out there that Brady and Belichick may reunite in Vegas on the Raiders. If there was ever a place for two retired people to reunite for an act, it would be in Vegas. So it would make sense for Brady and Belichick to be back together on the Raiders. But what's this, people? A Big 12 football? Can we change the thumbnail? Pivot this into a second watch party? OK State versus number 13 BYU, the 6-0 Cougs? Mike Gundy in the OK State Sooners about to go to war in Brigham Young. We might be locked in. I don't think so. No, we'll have it on the background. Ollie Gordon. We can't forget about Ollie Gordon. Ashton Jeanty is taking all of the views right now for the running back love. But Ollie Gordon was the OG guy from last year. He was the guy that returned to make his name known. Sham Charania in the booth? Oh, no. Somebody else. Can we make those? We're not. Just jokes, people. We don't get our guys mixed up. But do we end it on that? A cancelable offense? IT says when we make a cancelable joke, we have to wrap up the stream. So we made it through the picks anyways. We made it through another great WNBA game. And I'm making one last round. Maybe we should make the go around the IT stuff before. Maybe we should start doing that earlier. But I just checked. I think we made it through with successful stream, except for that one part where we had the hiccup. But we're still working on it, people. You guys are here for the early days, and we appreciate everybody that is joining us. Pause for the ride at this point. But that'll do it for tonight. We will be back. Just stay tuned, people, because we're just jumping on. We're just Dave Chappelle right now, jumping on and doing lives all the time. We're out in parking lots. We're out in grocery stores. I don't know, was he doing them in cemeteries or wherever Dave Chappelle's performing stand-up, but we're jumping on and doing streams all the time. So subscribe to the Rem and Sam feed on YouTube. We're at Rem and Sam Pod on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify. It might be Rem and Sam Podcast or just Rem and Sam, but Rem and Sam Podcast on the social media feeds. And if you want to listen to the streams as well too and listen to the episodes, they are available on Spotify and Apple Podcast at Rem and Sam Podcast as well too. So thank you guys for jumping on the stream with us tonight, for checking out another hot WNBA game for the basketball competition, of course. And we will be back later with another stream, breaking down what's going on in the world of sports and hanging out, having a good time. And we had NBA stuff out I looked over. We didn't even get to Dalton Connect. Cooper Flag to the Thunder. There is NBA stuff, people, in the works. The NBA season is approaching, and the Rem and Sam Podcast will be locked in. I forget how close the NBA season is, but I'm ready to go, people. It's almost here. And like I said, the Rem and Sam podcast will be at the forefront of it. So subscribe, stay tuned, and have a good night.